The mice were using mousetraps to exercise, but if they weren't careful, they'd get their heads caught. They trained desperately to fight their archenemy, the bear. But Celestine believed that bears and mice could be friends. The orphanage director told the story of the big bad bear. He exaggerated, saying the bear would swallow mice whole and tear them apart. The mice trembled in fear under their blankets. Only Celestine refused to believe that all bears were bad. The director angrily said that only in fairy tales could a bear and a mouse be friends. But Celestine still drew smiles on the bear and mouse in her picture. No one cared that her dream was to become a painter. Instead, they forced her to be a dentistry apprentice. She also had to steal 50 bear teeth. Celestine climbed up to a candy shop window. A bear cub cried because he had lost a tooth. His parents comforted him, saying a mouse would take the tooth and leave a gold coin in return. Celestine hid in the shadows, watching the happy family. She sketched the beautiful moment, but her pencil accidentally slipped and fell.
Mouse? Where?
Over there! In the teddy bear!
The mother bear screamed when she saw the little mouse. Celestine ran for her life. The father bear was just about to catch her. In a panic, Celestine grabbed the tooth from the ground. She jumped out the window and fell into a trash can. Just then, the father bear came to throw out the trash. Celestine was trapped. The next day, Ernest was digging through the trash, looking for food. Instead, he found Celestine, fast asleep. Ernest was starving. He was just about to eat her. But Celestine told him about a place full of candy. They arrived at the candy shop window. Ernest ate greedily. Before leaving, he thanked Celestine. Celestine slipped back into the mouse kingdom through the sewers. She went to the hospital. The first mouse handed in over a dozen teeth and was praised. The second mouse handed in 7 teeth. One of them was so good that it was immediately implanted into a patient. Since Celestine had been trapped in the trash can, she had only found 1 tooth. The director snatched her backpack, took out her sketchbook, and threw it into the trash. He told her that becoming a dentist was the only right choice, not becoming a painter. They didn't have the strength of bears. Their only way to protect the mouse kingdom was with sharp teeth. The director ordered Celestine to find 50 teeth as soon as possible. Otherwise, she would never be allowed to return. Papa Bear was happily selling candy to the kids after school. A disguised little bear also bought some candy, but Papa Bear's smile instantly disappeared. He warned his son never to eat these cavity-causing candies. It turned out that Mama Bear had opened a dental clinic across the street. They didn't want their own child to eat candy, but they let all the other kids ruin their teeth and come in for replacements. The place was filled with the teeth Celestine needed. Papa Bear suddenly noticed Ernest resting after a big meal. Ernest quickly tried to climb out the window, but he had eaten too much and got stuck. The police soon arrived at the scene. Ernest was caught and put into the car, but Celestine had secretly followed. She made a deal with Ernest. She would untie the ropes, but Ernest had to help her get the teeth from the shop. Ernest agreed. They escaped together. When night fell, they stole all the teeth. Celestine returned to the hospital and fell asleep from exhaustion. The director yanked her ear and started scolding her. Celestine calmly told him to stop. Then she opened the bag. Countless teeth spilled out. Everyone was stunned. The director grinned and said that Celestine was their pride. They celebrated in the streets. Suddenly, a little orphan mouse spotted a bear in the room. The little mice panicked and scattered, but Celestine called out his name. The mouse police were chasing a bear. The bear quickly escaped the mouse kingdom through the sewers. At the same time, the bear mother, whose teeth had been stolen, called the bear police. The mouse police were about to catch up. Ernest blocked the hole with a trash can. Then, they planned to escape in the candy shop's truck. Before leaving, they made sure to take the candy with them. The bear mother screamed as soon as she saw them. The bear police rushed over. At that moment, the mouse police also poured out of the hole. Luckily, Ernest drove away just in time, leaving them behind, shouting in frustration. Ernest drove the truck back to his home, but Celestine had nowhere to go. She begged Ernest to take her in, but Ernest shut the door on her. Yet, Celestine always found a way to appear in front of him. In the end, Celestine was allowed to sleep in the basement. She made a hammock to sleep in. Suddenly, piano music came from upstairs. She never expected Ernest to play such beautiful music, so Celestine drew a picture of Ernest as he slept. Celestine had another nightmare. In her dream, waves made of mice swallowed her whole. She screamed in terror. Ernest gently woke her up. Celestine cried, saying no one in the world cared about her. She had no home anymore, but Ernest said no one liked him either. Ernest really liked Celestine's painting from last night. He said she was practically an artist. When he found out they wouldn't let Celestine paint and were forcing her to become a dentist, Ernest said he loved music and performing, but his family forced him to become a judge. Ernest made a studio for Celestine. He soon fell ill. Celestine took care of him attentively. Ernest had a wonderful dream. Delicious food automatically came to him to enjoy. But then, a bunch of Celestines appeared in his dream, eating up all his beloved food. That terrifying scene scared him awake. Celestine gently woke him up, telling him it was just a nightmare. Ernest went back to sleep. Celestine stayed by his side all night. The next day, Ernest was fully recovered. Not only was he a musician, but he was also a circus performer. Celestine wanted to paint a winter landscape, but the house was buried under snow. Ernest took out a pipe and stuck it into the snow. Celestine looked through it and saw the outside world. Even though it was freezing and windy outside, their home was warm and cozy. Finally, spring arrived. When Celestine went out for a walk, she saw the truck from before. She worried that its bright red color would expose their location. Ernest brought a bucket of paint. With a brush, he blended the truck perfectly into the forest. The bear police and the mouse police started chasing Ernest and Celestine. Celestine pulled back the curtains and woke up Ernest. Their bond grew stronger as they spent more time together. Suddenly, Celestine saw the forest filled with bear police. She told Ernest to hide in the basement, saying she had a way to handle it. But just as Ernest hid in the basement, the mouse police found him. Celestine put on a little bear mask, hoping to pass unnoticed, but a gust of wind blew it right off. As a result, they were both captured by their respective species. Both sides tried to force them to reveal the other's whereabouts, but neither of them would betray each other. The Mouse Kingdom and the Bear Kingdom's councils happened to be in the same place. The judges announced that harboring a fugitive meant taking on their crimes as well, but Ernest and Celestine both defended each other. In the end, the judges forcefully placed all the charges on them. Just then, the mouse judge accidentally knocked over a kerosene lamp. Flames instantly spread across the entire hall. The mice panicked and fled in all directions. The fire kept burning, igniting the council chamber above ground. The bears also panicked and fled the scene. Ernest rescued the mouse judge from the fire. Outside, the mice gathered to watch, but none of them took action. On the other side, Celestine bit through the curtain and used it to put out the flames on the bear judge. Once the bear judge calmed down, he realized that his own kind had abandoned him, while a mouse had saved his life. At that moment, both judges understood. It wasn't their species that made them enemies, but their prejudice. As the bear judge stepped outside, the building behind him suddenly collapsed, symbolizing the fall of prejudice and oppressive rules. Ernest crawled out of the sewer, calling out for Celestine again and again. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, a bear and a mouse embraced tightly. They returned to their little home. Ernest and Celestine had both been outcasts in their own worlds. From initial conflict to mutual admiration, Ernest gave Celestine more than just a warm home. He gave her validation for her dream of becoming a painter. Because most dreams face rejection, and only a few people will understand and support your passion. In his society, Ernest had been ignored, often feeling lonely. Only Celestine cared for him, cherished him, and appreciated his talents.